owner and CEO of the Public Speakers Association. I have participated in quite a few of these virtual summits and other summits put on by other people. And so today, what I want to talk about is how to give a good presentation in a virtual summit. And I'm going to share my screen. All right, someone give me some thumbs up if they can see my screen okay. All right, good deal. All right, so like I said, I've been in quite a few of these, and what I want to talk about today is it's not a critique of anyone's speech that they did today, or it's not a critique of anyone's speeches in the past. At other summits or that they did in um, other venues. And what I want to talk about is so tips for speaking at virtual summits or web conferences and Zoom meetings. And we've been doing Zoom for about 4 years now. Oh, in fact, I think the 4 year mark just passed just a little while ago. Anyway, and so we're all getting pretty used to these. But what I want to talk about um, is in comparison to live meetings. So uh, what I want everyone to think about is treating a virtual summit as much as you can like it's an in-person speech, and try and use as much of that training that we've done for live in-person speeches for virtual summits. And yeah, so remember, I'm not trying to critique anyone. There are some groups that do a lot of critiquing. I like to consider it coaching, or coaching and helping one another, or working together for all of us to raise our level of speaking. And I am not an expert at all of these. I still struggle with some of these things that I'm going to talk about, and I'm still working on a lot of these things as well. All right, so I want to talk about the use of technology, about the atmosphere that we create, about our audience, who we're speaking to, and then I want to talk about etiquette. And maybe I want to talk about how to do slides, because I probably should not have put in so many different features, like the etiquette bouncing. That was distracting. I don't know why I did that. All right, so let's talk about technology. So the first thing I want to talk about is your internet connection and your computer, I guess at the same time. So when you're going to be doing a talk like I'm doing now, and everyone's been doing today, make sure that you have a good internet connection. So if that means moving to a different room, maybe you have to move to a different room. If that means maybe finding a different location, you need to go somewhere where you have better internet connection, then do that. Or if it means you need to go out and invest in a better solution for your internet connection. Maybe you just don't have the right bandwidth, and you're having a lot of problems doing a Zoom meeting. If you've ever been in a Zoom meeting where someone freezes it up a lot, it gets really frustrating. And if you're giving a talk like this and you freeze up, then that's really not ideal at all. That's not a good situation. And if your computer is old and is not able to keep up with the demands of audio and video at the same time, maybe you might need to think about some kind of upgrade of your computer. So camera and lighting. When I first started doing Zoom, I had an older computer, and the camera on it was not good, and the picture wasn't good when I was doing Zoom meetings. And so I actually went out and bought another camera to use instead of the built-in one on the laptop. I was using a different camera, and that helped out a lot. And another thing is lighting. So I've seen a lot of people have been in dark rooms while they're doing a Zoom meeting or a Zoom presentation. And if it's too dark in the room, bring in another light. In fact, I have another light. I can't reach it, but anyway, that I sometimes turn on depending on the lighting. Or you can buy professional lighting. Well, like in the picture that you see, he has extra lighting source to make sure that he's showing up well on camera. And don't sit in front of a window. If you are sitting in front of a window and there's a window behind you, then no one will be able to see your face. The light from the the background of the window will block out your face, and no one will see your face. It doesn't work well. All right, so let's talk about your microphone. So I'm using the headset because I want to be able to hear everything well. There is a microphone on here, but I have it turned on so that it's using a different mic. Because if I did this, then you would hear. Actually, someone tell me you don't hear scratching when I do this, do you? Anyway, so yeah, make sure you're paying attention to your microphone. Maybe you need to go out and buy a different microphone than the one that is built into your computer. But test those things out and make sure that computer, internet, lighting, microphone, all those things are working. Practice with them and check it out beforehand. And then there's that bouncing, annoying effect from my presentation. All right, so your background. So I've seen lots of different backgrounds, virtual backgrounds, or blurring out your background. I think that those are pretty good solutions. However, I'm not a huge fan of those. Like when I first started doing Zoom, I did different virtual backgrounds, and unless you have a green screen behind you, sometimes those don't work out very well, and you move your hand and it's kind of funky, wavy looking. And so I actually have a background. This is like a photo background that photographers use. It only costs like $15. And then I have it set up on some stands that hold it up. And so that you are not looking at the clutter of the rest of this room. We talked about clutter and decluttering. So this is the way that I make sure that no one can see the clutter of the room or distractions that are going on behind me. So lots of people use something in their home. They or they're in an office that's well trafficked and there's stuff going on behind them. So that can be distracting during a presentation. I believe Tracy said that she was actually in a hotel lobby when she did her presentation, and I didn't notice anything. She had a virtual background, and I didn't notice anything behind her, and I didn't notice any outside noise either. So she did a good job with that. And if she was not, in fact, in her office and she was in a hotel lobby. All right, so atmosphere. I was just talking about eliminating distractions. We have had some speakers on a virtual summit that were sitting on a couch, and it was he or she, I can't remember, was way too comfortable, just kind of laid back, sitting on the couch, and there were kids running around, kids jumping up on his lap or something, or a dog, or both. I can't remember, but I've seen it all. I've seen kids, I've seen dogs coming onto the screen. And if you were up speaking at a big doing a big speech at a convention in front of thousands of people, you would not have little kids running around. You would not have a dog. So trying to be more professional on our virtual summits, I think is important. Okay, so location. I was talking about some of the locations that people have done their virtual summits from. There was someone that was on their phone and they were outside. I think they were like in their backyard up against a fence or something. And he was holding his phone, and so it was moving around. That is not ideal. Using your phone for a virtual summit doesn't work too great. And having the motion, that was very distracting. It was kind of making me seasick almost, or giving motion sickness. So remember your location. And there was another guy who was on a bus when he did his speech. He was traveling and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on a bus." And you could hear the noise of the bus as he was giving it. Um, for some meetings that might be okay. For virtual summits, it's not ideal. If you're just doing a one-to-one or have a very small group, that might work okay for a small meeting, but not for a virtual summit. Um, all right, and your appearance. I always try to wear something that looks professional. I don't go too overboard. I don't wear a suit or a tie or anything. And the good news is that you can look very professional on the top, and when you're on Zoom, you could be wearing shorts or sweats. Um, I am not today. I decided to wear, business type pants, even though sometimes I have been on Zoom meetings wearing shorts um, and then a nice shirt up top. All right. Now let's talk about your position on camera. So ideally, your head should be um, pretty close to the top. There should be a little gap. I mean, you don't want to be talking like this, where your head's getting cut off. And you also don't want to be sitting like this. I've seen people that come on, I'm like this, and um, anyway, so you want to be centered, and you want to be looking towards your camera. You kind of want to think of it at like a newscaster that you would watch on TV. How does the newscaster look as they're presenting? They're not going to be slouched. They're not going to be way down. They're not going to be off to the side. They're going to be in the center with their head pretty close to the top, a little margin at the top. I don't know. You want to be in the top, using like 80% of this, 75 to 80% of the screen. All right, so let's talk about your audience. I talked about looking into the camera. Sometimes it's really easy to look all around. I have two monitors. That's another thing I would suggest is if it's easier to present with two monitors, um, do that. But if you're looking at your notes over to the side the whole time, um, you're not as engaging as if you're looking into the camera. It's amazing. I've been on some Zoom meetings, one-to-ones and whatnot, where we're looking into the camera, and you really feel like the person is connecting with you, that you're seeing eye to eye. Ask questions during your presentation. So just because we're on Zoom doesn't mean we can't ask questions. We want to see people. We want to see each other's faces. So um, uh, get interaction, ask questions, ask for responses, and ask them to turn on their cameras. I didn't do that ahead of time, but when you're talking to people, it's good to see them. Ask them to turn on their cameras. Ask them to be present. Depending on the number of people, you could ask them to unmute and give feedback while you're presenting. In other presentations, it might be like a webinar style where people are not able to be on camera. They're not able to ask questions during your presentation. But depending on the group size, you can have people asking questions, and you can have people on camera, and so you can see them. So you feel like, so if your message is getting across to them. All right, and know your audience. Know who you're talking to and what they're needing. So that's basically on the choose your subject based on who your audience is and know who they are so that you're talking about things that pertain to them, that are important to them. And I'm hoping that I am doing that right now, that I'm talking to people that are speakers, people that are doing lots of virtual summits and web conferences, and this is useful for them. That's my hope and my intention today. All right, so let's talk about like etiquette for speakers. So if you're signed up to be a speaker on a virtual summit, be on time, early or early, and show up. We've had far too many people not show up that signed up to be speakers, and that's just not very professional. And sometimes it could be you get the time mixed up because of time differences or whatever. But do your best to show up, be on time, or even be early. And I know there are emergencies and that kinds of things, but just remember when you're the host, like me, or the person putting on the event, when you're not on time, it's very stressful. And communicate with the organizer. So communicate with them ahead of time, email, text, and make sure that you know what is expected and you have everything you need to be ready to speak. And stay for all the speakers if you can. When on this platform, I appreciate it when the speakers stay for the entire thing. I know it's not always possible. But I'm also thinking like if we were doing this in person, we would all be here for the whole time for the most part. But virtually it is pretty easy to come in and out. I know, but just if we want to make this more like an in-person event, it'd be good for everyone to stay for the whole thing. And when you're speaking, don't go overtime. So know ahead of time from your whoever is putting it on how much time you have, and make sure you keep everything you're doing within time. And I don't have to worry about that because I'm in charge and I'm the last speaker. So I have that convenience of not having to worry about speaking too long. All right. Oh, and here's one other thing too that's I'm still sharing my screen. However, it's not in presentation mode. I don't know how many times I've seen this, but this is one of my pet peeves is when speakers don't know how to maximize their screen on their presentation, and they're switching from slide to slide over here instead of having it maximized so that we don't see all the extra clutter. It should be maximized, and then you scroll through your presentation, not like this where you can see other windows, and not like this where you're moving back and forth over here on the side. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know what happens, but a lot of people don't get their presentation into presentation mode. Alrighty, so that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. And like I said, I'm not perfect at it, and it's not meant to be a critique of anyone. But that's it. And I will